Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed the video from YouCubed. It's time to get some synapses firing. So we are going to do a quick activity, and what I'm going to do is up here on the camera, I'm going to show you an image. I want you to look really closely. You're only going to get maybe a second or even less to look at that image, and then on a piece of paper, I want you to write down what you saw. Okay, are you ready? Make sure you have some paper and something to write with. All right, is everybody looking? Here's the image. Okay? On your paper, don't say anything, but on your paper, write down what you just saw. Now, what we're going to do is I'm going to show you the image again, and let's see if you got the same image. Ready? Hopefully that's what you saw. All right, now what I'm going to do is pause the video here, and I would like the substitute to go up to the board and draw down some of the ways that you remembered what this image was, because you didn't see it for very long. So how did you remember what this looked like, that there were 6 dots in this pattern? So maybe think about, did you see something appear in rows? Did you see certain numbers appearing in columns? Did you see a pattern or a shape? And that's what helped you recreate this on your paper. Okay, now that that activity is done, we're going to do something else. So hopefully in that activity, you saw that everybody in the room probably saw this image a little bit differently. So if we go back to this, some of you may have seen that there was a column of 3, a column of 2, and then 1. Some of you might have been looking at the rows. Somebody maybe saw a square here in the center with 2 dots on the outside. We see things differently, and we can certainly learn from everyone's different experiences. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to complete an activity. You'll be getting a handout of this, but we're going to complete an activity where we're going to take a rectangle here. And this rectangle is 11 squares across the top, and it's 13 squares down the side. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to try to cover this entire area with the fewest number of squares. Okay, now let's remember, what's a square? A square has to have 4 sides that are the same length. So we're not talking about rectangles anymore. We're going to cover this rectangle with only squares. Now the size can be whatever size you choose, but it does need to be whole squares here. So just draw on these grid lines the squares that you want to make. So if you want to start here in the corner with a little 2 by 2 square, then go ahead and draw that in. If you want to do something else, that's fine also. All right, but just there's a couple of rules. You can't have your squares going outside of the border of the rectangle. Also, it has to be only squares, and the squares can be whatever size you want as long as they are whole numbers. So I couldn't do a square that's 2.5 grids, 2.5 squares by 2.5 squares. That wouldn't follow the rules. So basically your squares always are going to have to be on the grid lines. You can't go between the grid lines. Okay, so the competition is who can cover this rectangle in the fewest number of squares. All right, have fun. Okay, now that everybody's had a chance to try this, hopefully you were able to cover this rectangle the fewest number of squares that you possibly could. I want you to share your numbers with one another and see who in the room could do it in the fewest number of squares. Hey guys, I hope you had fun with the rectangle activity and putting the squares over top of it. I would love if you would send me a picture of the winning rectangle. So whoever was able to do it in the fewest number in the class, go ahead and just snap a quick picture, email it to me. You can find my email on Canvas or just search for Isaac Richardson and it'll pop right up. But I'm really curious. Hopefully we'll see who out of the 4 classes was able to do it in the fewest squares, and maybe we can recognize our winner tomorrow. I hope everybody's had a great day. I know things are definitely a little bit different, but again, please don't be afraid to reach out to me, ask a question, or if you just want to say hi.